It is 7:45 and a warm welcome. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's a new year and soon universities will be flooded with people from around the country with the hope of getting into tertiary. With the arts being one of the biggest industries in the country, many potential students aim to get into various arts departments in local universities with the hopes, of course, of breaking into the entertainment industry and the arts industry. And today we find out just what two of South Africa's universities have to offer in terms of arts and perhaps the importance of getting formal training in the arts as opposed to talent alone. And joining us from our Durban studios is Professor Debra Lutge. She's the HOD, or the Head of Department of Drama and Production Studies at the Durban University of Technology, as well as Professor Brett Pyper, who is the Head of the School of Performing Arts at the Wits University in Johannesburg. A very good morning to you and a warm welcome to the both of you.
Thank you so much.
All right, now I'm going to start with you, Professor.
Good morning, Thank you for having us.
Indeed, Professor. Now, with many students getting ready to enroll at various universities, what are the basic requirements of studying towards the arts?
So one of the key things in people wanting to study arts, whether it's the visual or performing arts, at a school like the Wits School of Arts, is students would normally supply either an audition or a portfolio of their work. In other words, there's an assumption that they've been working on developing their talents before and are going to be taking it into a more formal direction.
All right. And I presume it's the same requirements, Professor Debbie?
Yes, it is. We're very practice-based, and so those are the things that we look for, and we are focused into arts, design, and of course languages as well. So we do interpreting in languages and journalism too.
And just how important is it to get formal training when wanting to pursue a career in the arts?
I think that it's very important because I think it encourages an entrepreneurial spirit. And I think in the current state of the arts at the moment and the funding, certainly in Durban, drying up, we're looking for people that are able to manifest themselves in a new way and take the art in a new direction. And I think that entrepreneurship is really something that should be encouraged.
Indeed. Now, Professor Pyper, just how important is it for students to focus on the entrepreneurial aspect of the arts? Can arts really be business?
I agree with Professor Lutge that artists who have a sense of agency in crafting futures for themselves tend to be the ones who are surviving in a very challenging economy, both within the country and globally. I've been inspired over the years to see how artists manage to find ways of reinventing themselves, often from project to project, working across disciplinary boundaries. And often it's those who have a commitment on not only to developing their talent, which is a lifelong journey, but also to finding ways of manifesting themselves, as Professor Lutge says, in different places where they see opportunity. And in a country like ours and a continent like ours, with such a young population, with a hunger for engagement with creativity, there's real opportunity.
And just how difficult or how easy is it to break into the industry after completing the qualification?
I think there are a variety of answers to that, depending on where people are. But I'm always struck by how people who are committed to expressing themselves find a way of building relationships with audiences, with people they're connecting with. And I tend to want to encourage our students to find ways of connecting their vision to an audience that wants to respond to it, rather than just knocking on the doors of a formal industry that may not represent the future of audiences and the arts.
Professor Lutge, back to you in Durban. Just how difficult or is it to break into the industry? I mean, we've seen so many artists and artisans struggling to make a living shortly after completing their degrees.
I think it is a very difficult thing, but I think that you have to think of the arts in a wider canvas. There is certainly a huge array of possibilities. For example, in our drama department, we train people to do script writing. You have specializations in script, in dance, in singing, in educational theatre, and then, of course, all your core subjects are drama related. We've really engaged in internationalization. So far in 2016 and 2018, I've taken 12 students to participate in the Folkwang Shakespeare Festival, and that has been very opening for students and has introduced them to the fact that we really are competitive in this country and we can take the very best to other countries and showcase our work there. And I think that's a very important concept, especially in a digitalized age where internet is fast becoming a very important part of our existence. And I think that the other thing is, for example, this year we're hosting the digital conference on the International Conference on Digital Art, which is combined with our DigiFest, which is an annual event at DUT, and that will happen in June. I think that those are the sorts of things, plus a practice-based or practice-led PhD in performing and visual arts. And I think those are the kinds of things that offer a variety of futures. Okay. We have students that go into being entertainment officers on ships. We have people that go into doing any kind of communication, any kind of working with public.
Okay,
sales,
just briefly, Professor Lutge. Yeah, just briefly, we haven't got much time, unfortunately. Take us through the enrollment process.
Okay, for us, the enrollment for drama in particular is, we also have the same interview, portfolio and audition. But for drama, you audition, you have to achieve a certain amount of points. So you need to have 24 points. You need to have scored well in languages. And then from the CAO, which is the Central Applications Office, they forward candidates to us. And those candidates come for 3 sets of auditions. The first one, they choose their own monologue, poem, song, dance, or mime. Then they are given prescribed works, and they come and they do a morning of improvisation, sight reading, dance, song classes, so that they get a feel, an interview, a reading study, so they get a feel for what they are being prepared for. And then in the afternoon they do the prescribed works that are set for them. And then based on that, we select the top 50.
All right. Now, Professor Pyper, take us through the enrollment process, and can potential students still register now, and what is it that they need to do?
So it's a pretty similar process at all South African universities. And of course, there's headline news at the moment about broader questions about late applications. Because our process often depends on auditions and portfolios that have already been looked at, there are limited opportunities to no opportunities officially now. But I would encourage candidates to watch the general news and to, as Professor Lutge advises, to communicate via the central registration offices in the respective universities, who can then channel them towards the arts programs they're interested in.
Can you give the assurance that one can make a living out of the arts rather than not just a pastime?
I'm amazed to see, as Professor Lutge also speaks to, in how many contexts people are using artist-based skills. And if we look at the old values of humanities, communication, working across media, arts skills are used in so many contexts. So some of our students become professional artists, and that's wonderful, but all of them use those skills in their lives and enrich society through that.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for chatting to us. And Professor Lutge from Durban, thank you so much for chatting to us. That is Professors Debra Lutge from the Durban University of Technology and Professor Brett Pyper from the Wits University, talking to us about what the university's arts departments have to offer potential students.